7 years and nothing to show for it. I'll get into that and then the latest home prices and insights for York Region for week ending April 24th, 2024. A property just sold in York Region, in Vaughan actually, sold for about, I'm going to round numbers just for simplicity. So it sold for 1.7. Now, it sold for basically what it was purchased for, which is no surprise to a lot of people these days because properties that you bought 1, 2, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, many of them that are selling today, you're losing money on, or you're lucky to break even. And that's kind of normal. I've told lots of stories about that. But this one example that I'm talking about, the home was purchased in 2017, 7 years ago. So this person sold for 1.7, a home he bought in 2017. Now, when you look at all the charts, all the data that's out there, generally speaking, we are way up in prices versus 2017. And it kind of looks like this person lost, the way I see it, they lost a ton of money, not because of what they sold it at, but because of what they bought it at. Now, if you're thinking the home deteriorated, oh, it must have been in much worse condition. No, I could see the before pictures when it was purchased at. I could see the photos of when the property was sold at. I've been through the home when it was on the market for sale. The home was in good condition and there were a few updates done along the way. Nothing major. There was no major transformation, but there was several $1,000s spent in some updates and interlock and landscaping and so forth. So I'm thinking like, wow, how much more did this person spend when he bought the property that he's selling it now at basically what they paid? And they didn't give it away. I know, there's going to be a lot of thought around, well, why'd they sell it for so low? Well, they sold it at market value. The problem started not when they decided to sell now, but when they decided to buy back in 2017. They paid way more than what the market value was at the time. Now, there's lots of situations where people will pay a little bit more. I've worked with buyers that for the right house, for the right circumstances, they're okay to pay a little bit more. It can sometimes give you the edge when you're negotiating. It can allow you to get the right house. I'm not talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars more, but sometimes you pay a little bit more for that opportunity to get the house within the realm of being realistic. And there's never an exact price when you look at market comparisons and analysis, and no one can say this house is worth this much to the penny. There's always a variation in price when it comes to that. But this person paid way more back in 2017. I don't know what they were thinking back then. There's neighborhoods I monitor for our buyer clients. There's one in particular right now. I'm still talking about Vaughan, where 2 years ago when the market was a little bit crazy there, people were paying $2.2 million for properties. Now, just before that, the average home sold for between 1.5 to 1.8, average detached property, whether it was not renovated or renovated. That's why there's that price gap, 1.5 to 1.8. Then the market got a little bit nuts. Some of these properties sold for $2.2 million. Today, it's only 2 years later, properties are back down to 1.5, 1.6. And so if those people try to sell now, they're going to lose their shirt. And there's a lot of neighborhoods like that. But this was 7 years ago. Folks, we often focus on when we say, oh, this person didn't, they sold their property and they lost money. And we base it on, the market's changed right now. Yes, the market's changed. The market's always going to be changing one way or another. But what you buy it for can be, often is, just as important as what you sell it for. So if you way overpay because you gotta have that house, you could be paying for it in more ways than one other than the initial purchase price. So imagine 7 years, we've had a ton of appreciation, and you're selling it for what you bought it for. Be careful what you're buying properties at, because you might not get out without getting some financial hardship there. If you feel this video can help somebody you know, pass it along. If you get value from what we're talking about, subscribe. And if you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, it's really simple. Up here, there's a link to my calendar. Below this video in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you. We'll talk about whatever's on your mind. Now, let's get into the numbers. Here we go, folks. We're going to be focused on this show. Detached properties only for Vaughan, Richmond Hill, and Markham. Here's just a quick summary. Average sold prices, again, for detached properties for week ending April 24th. Richmond Hill up top, Markham in the middle, Vaughan. Prices are all over the place. We're going to start off with Vaughan detached properties for week ending April 24th. 29 detached properties were sold. Sales did come down over the previous week. We're seeing that across the GTA. I'm not sure what happened this 1 week where sales came down, but Vaughan is no different than most parts of the GTA right now. Sales dropped from previous few weeks to this week, April 24th. So 29 were sold. 10 of those, though, were sold at $2 million or more. So there's a high percentage, about a third, selling at $2 million or more, which is up from the previous week, which was 7 at $2 million or more. Average sold price did jump up to $1,774,000. Prices are all over the place. If I was to kind of look at it from this point of view, I kind of think overall, maybe prices haven't changed that much, although there's peaks and valleys, kind of been pretty steady. But let's have a closer look in a second here. Compared to last year, 1774 is basically where prices were a year ago. Rounded, there's no percentage change in prices. Median price is 3% lower than where the average price was a year ago. Now, looking at the dotted line, that's a 4-week moving average. It's actually showing, earlier I said, maybe it looks like from that other chart, prices haven't changed much, but kind of looks like slightly. The median looks pretty flat, but average price looks like over the past 3 months trending up slightly, like barely moving, but flat or a little bit higher. The 29 that sold, 41% sold at list price or more. Listings. Here's where the real story comes in. So 72 were listed. So listings are down over the last few weeks. Just in comparison, across the GTA in most areas, we've seen an increase in listings. But for Vaughan, for detached properties, listings came down. 72 were listed. Active listings has been increasing. We've got 317 active listings. For comparison, if you're trying to figure out what's normal for Vaughan, what does 317 active listings actually mean? Well, this time a year ago, we had 194 available for sale, and that's a 64% increase over where active listings were a year ago. So we're seeing, versus what we saw this time a year ago, way more properties available for sale. And I'm just talking about detached properties. Months of inventory sitting at 1.9, kind of a little bit higher than the middle of what we would call a seller's market. Seller's market is between 0 and 3 months of inventory. We're at 1.9 months of inventory. So somewhat of a seller's market. I wouldn't say it's an aggressive seller's market, but we are in a seller's market. Here's Richmond Hill. Sales have dropped. 18 detached properties were sold. Think about that for a second. Richmond Hill is a big place, lots of detached properties, only 18 sold in 1 week for week ending April 24th. 7 of those were at $2 million or more. Average sold price, $2,013,000. I think it's pretty clear to say that over this last 2 months, average sold price seems to be trending up in Richmond Hill. $2,013,000 is 8% higher than where we were this time a year ago. The median price is 3% higher than where we were this time a year ago. And if you look at the dotted line, you could pretty much tell that prices are trending upwards. So 18 were sold, 44% sold at list price or more. That percentage is trending down. Listings. Now, what I'm showing you here is really pretty similar to what we're seeing in a lot of parts of the GTA, where listings for since March, April, listings, we're seeing way more listings this year than what we saw this time a year ago. The orange, that's this year. The blue, that's a year ago. So way more listings. Active listings in Richmond Hill is 308. This time a year ago, it was 128. Listings are up, or active listings are up 141%. They've more than doubled in Richmond Hill from 1 year to the next. Months of inventory is up, sitting at 3 months of inventory, right at the border of seller's market, balanced market. It's pretty much a balanced market when we're looking at Richmond Hill detached properties. Markham, 30 detached properties were sold, so sales came down from the previous week. 4 of those were at $2 million or more. Average sold price is $1,814,000. 1814 is 13% lower year over year. The median price is 9% lower. Over the last month and a half, I would say looks like average sold price and median really kind of trending down. Not aggressively, but trending down. 30 were sold. Sales are much lower than what we were selling this time a year ago. 30 were sold, but a high percentage, 73% selling at list price or more. So buying a detached property in Markham, you're competing. It's aggressive. Listings, 52 were listed. Active listings is 225. Last year, it's 115. We're up 96%, almost double from where we were this time a year ago. Months of inventory has been declining to it's now sitting at 1.4 months of inventory. That explains at 1.4, that's low, seller's market. That explains why as much as 73% are selling at list price or more. Not as many, I guess, to choose from. We'll say not as many good properties that are priced right to choose from, because there's still lots of properties available for sale. Here's a quick summary. Look, for detached properties, I got Vaughan, Richmond Hill, and Markham. I have put York Region condos just as a contrast for you to see how the condo market's doing. We do a whole separate show for condos, but for the detached market, you're either going to experience a seller's market or a balanced market. And within certain regions, it's going to be different. So you really kind of got to know, if you're looking to buy, if you're looking to sell, what's happening in the neighborhood that you're interested in. If you're buying the property you're looking to put an offer on, how's it priced? How's it compared to what's going on? Is it going to sell quick, fast, right away, over asking? Or is it priced wrong and sits there for a while and you actually have a lot more room to negotiate? All these are really important to know so you could figure out your strategy, whether you're putting an offer, or your pricing strategy, whether you're selling. Who you hire matters. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.